Welcome to LIS754 Systems Analysis and Design. And in this session, we're going to talk about professional technical writing. Many of you are undoubtedly really good writers. You write research papers, you write stories and poetry and all sorts of documents. But most of you, I would imagine, have not written technical documents that define what a system is, that talk about how different components of things work together. So what I just want to do is have a short overview of what it is that I mean when I say professional technical writing style. And in this, we're going to talk about three different components of professional writing. One is tone, one is voice, and the third is person. So tone is made up of a number of things: confidence, courteousness, inclusive language, making sure the reader understands how the things that are being talked about will benefit them, and an appropriate level of difficulty. And we're going to really focus on the top three: confident, courteous, and non-discriminatory. So confidence really comes from the feeling that you are prepared about the material that you are presenting in writing, that you have a high level of understanding of the materials that you are trying to get across. And so when we do that, we want to avoid words like "I think that," or "it might be good if," or "perhaps we could do that." Those kinds of words undermine the confidence, a confidence factor. So if you have a confident tone, it has a persuasive effect. Now, it doesn't mean that you're cocky, it doesn't mean that you're overconfident, but using these kinds of words that undermine confidence makes it harder for the reader to believe you. The second is courtesy, and we think about this all the time when we're doing things in systems. I'm sure you've seen Dilbert comics where the developers wrote really rude things or said really rude things. And that happens sometimes in technical writing. We don't want to say things like, "You didn't read the instructions, so your system will shut down," or "You didn't follow the rules, so your system will blow up." But we want to say things like, "The system may shut down automatically if any installation errors occur," or "If data is put in this way, the system will reject it." So we just want to frame things in a way that don't blame the reader or make the reader feel like something is their fault or that they were dumb in some way. So, and honestly, this happens quite a bit in technical writing. So we want to make sure we don't do that. In technical writing, it becomes awkward sometimes when we talk about people. And in general terms, we want to use as many gender-neutral terms as possible. But the big problem, from my perspective, when I read technical writing, is that there are often times where language gets very convoluted because we're trying to avoid gender issues like he, she, the he, she issue. So we don't want to say things like the user will use his or her mouse, right? Or his or her computer to do this, or will open his or her browser. We want to say we can avoid that whole mess by using plural. So instead of using an individual user, we talk about all users. The users will use their browser. And I don't really like that in-between thing where you say the user will use their browser. If we're going to use plural terms like they and them and their, we should use plural verbs. The users will use their browsers to access the system. It's perfectly acceptable, it's reasonable, and it avoids convoluted sentences, in my estimation. The other thing we want to do is use an active voice. These are in much academic writing and research, we use a more passive voice. Experiments have been conducted to test the hypotheses or the conclusions of the, anyway, we just don't want to do that. We want to be more active. Scientists have conducted experiments to test the hypotheses. We want to be very declarative. We want to be very using this active voice because we want to emphasize the action, right? Or we want to emphasize the person or the thing that's performing the action is what we really want to do. Scientists have conducted experiments, right? The system will do this instead of this thing the system will do, right? We want to be very declarative. And the trickiest thing is using, in this case, from my perspective, is the person. So having we want to talk in an active voice in the third person. We don't want to use the first person. For my project, I am going to, or I think that this will be a great project because we really want to use the preferred version is the third person. The department is planning to develop this new system. The university will do this. The school is doing that. Our business will do such and such a thing. It is permissible to use second person within some circumstances. We are here to focus, or a combination of the third and second person, work together sometimes. So here's what I mean. Oops, sorry, I pressed the wrong button. Here's an example of the second person. So this is a document from the HathiTrust Research Center. We'll talk about this system later in the semester as we look at architectures and other functions. This is a section out of a document. In the proposal for the HTRC, the HathiTrust Research Center, we developed a set of use cases to describe potential functionality. We use the concept of a three-tiered user set: the humanities researcher, the informatics researcher, and the independent operator. Each of these sets of users would have different requirements and different user needs. I added a word there, sorry. In our analysis of users, we did not consider applications as user, etc., etc. This is an example of technical writing in the third person, just very straightforward, very declarative. Because this was a relatively informal document to be used within a team, a small team within a department, it was not made a little bit more more formal. And here's a more formal document, a third-person example. This is for the Digital Repository Service. A system to manage digital content in a digital library. The Digital Repository Service guarantees that objects deposited within the DRS will be stored in a professionally managed and safe environment. The DRS controls 3 copies of an object, 1 copy on disk in the primary data center, 1 copy on tape in the tape library, in a second data center, and 1 clone tape at a third secured site. How does the DRS manage to do these things? The DRS has 2 main components. Right, so this is talking about a process to maintain the integrity of tapes and data over time. And you can see that, again, it's just pretty straightforward, really declarative. There's not a lot of extraneous words. There's not a lot of... it's just really straightforward, declarative, not a lot of similes, not a lot of flowery language, not a lot of really big words, just straightforward. That's what I'm looking for in your in your writing for this class. Declarative sentences, straightforward, third person, active voice. If you have questions, let me know. Talk to you soon.